Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Stellaris. So, hopefully, you guys got to see my first video that I made, where I went through and talked about the character creation, or more specifically, the empire creation screen that allows you to build your own empire. I will be using my own custom empire for this playthrough, and it will be on a short system. However, I did want to point one small thing out that I neglected to mention in that video, and that is I will be doing the audio, so all of my commentary will be post-commentary, chiefly because the game is kind of slow-paced. There's a lot of sitting around, there's a lot of waiting, and it allows me to cut some stuff, edit some stuff in, and all that. So it's easier for me, it's easier for you guys. And it means that I can kind of make the videos a little bit shorter or a little bit longer as need be. I won't be reading through all of the stuff, chiefly because my reading skills are fantastic when I'm by myself, but terrible when I'm trying to read things out loud on a microphone. Seriously, voice actors, mad props. Legitimately, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I did try to do a voice for the reading, and aside from not having a good setup, I'll get into that later. I'm gonna start the game. It's gonna be a tiny star system. I think it's like 140 or 150 stars. I don't fully remember. And I'm going with a ring setup. So everything else I'm going to leave, with the exception, of course, of the AI, because I believe having the AI set to 0 gives you an opportunity to start off with everything else. So I've also got the tutorials turned off. I'll let you guys read through the information. I have the tutorials turned off because, in all honesty, they're not really that helpful. They are sort of helpful, but the best way to really truly experience this game is you actually just kind of have to get in and play and make mistakes. So one of the biggest things for me is, because I'm a military power, I need to get ships and stuff going as soon as possible, and to do that I need the upgraded spaceport, which is under the engineering tab, but of course you've got to take care of everything else. Also, I will always pause the game whenever there's research to be done, and that's because if you don't pause the game, it's still running even while you're trying to select new research. And the time that you spend not doing that research, which it can take you out to about a month to decide in game time, to decide what research to pick, that's an entire month that you lose of research time. So I will be pausing for all the research stuff, but for the most part, most major things I won't pause the game for. Chiefly because, let's be honest, there's no real reason to pause it. I need to get a fleet built as soon as possible, but oddly enough, I've noticed that it always starts you off. So, I don't know if you guys caught it before, but I'll go back to the spaceport screen, and you can see that there's 2 different Corvette classes. They both have the same cost, they both have the same build, but for some strange reason, it keeps showing 2 different classes. It's done this before, and I don't know why. So, that's why you see me going back to the ship screen, because I'm looking to see if I can figure out where that other Corvette class is. Also, I have the auto best build off, because if you have that on, it automatically builds a new ship every time you get a new upgrade. So it'll take all the best stuff and build a ship based off of that. For some people that may be fantastic, but I've found that, as far as I know, the new ship builds, so again, you notice that I have the 2 different Corvette classes. Because I have those 2 different Corvette classes, if I upgrade one class, I can't send the ships from another class to the spaceport to be upgraded. As far as I know, I haven't fully tested it out, but it seems that sort of seems to be the way. Also, anyone going to be screaming in the comments, yes, I do notice the fact that I have 2 people, which is 2 population, that don't have buildings on them. I didn't notice that in the game. I legitimately did not notice that until I started doing the editing, and got a little bit annoyed by that. So you guys are going to see a bit of a jump cut here. The reason being is because I spent a good 5 minutes just like sitting around not doing anything on this one portion of the screen. And that was because, of course, I was watching YouTube while I was recording this. You will also see me go back and forth to the warp gate, because I was trying to figure out at the time why it keeps showing the yellow line, because it shows you the path of the ships. So my science vessel, every time I select it, it would constantly show this yellow line. The reason it does that is because I'm using wormholes. Because I'm using wormholes, in order to get from point A to point B, it has to travel through the wormhole. But because of the wormhole, there's no way to get from point B to point C. In order to get to point C, you have to go back to point A, and then travel from point A to point C. Okay? For anyone who got a little bit confused by that, don't worry. The basic point is, in order to go anywhere, I always have to come back to the home system. In order to go anywhere, I have to come back to the home system. So the reason the wormholes are fantastic, though, is because you have the initial load time, but there's no travel time in between. So it's a much faster way of travel, and you can travel to the very end of the radius of the wormhole, which I'll show you guys. I don't know if I do it in this video, but I know for sure I did it at some point during this recording. I showed off the ring radius of the wormhole. But I need to focus heavily on expansion. And for anyone who might have missed the first video, which was, like I said, just an introduction, I do have a mod installed. It is the Outpost influence cost removal. It is really hard to get influence. At least I found that it's really sort of hard to get influence. And every time you build a forward operating base, you sacrifice 1 influence every month to maintain that forward operating base. And as you can see, my influence is currently sitting at 2. So the money, or energy credits, as they call it in the game, is the yellow tab, is the little yellow icon at the top. Minerals are obviously the red diamond icon at the top. And influence is the purple circle with the person inside of it. You start off with 2 if you choose a military power. Now, I don't know what you start off with for the others. But the race that I play through as starts off with 2. And the reason I chose military dictatorship, which is what my race is first off, the dictatorship means I don't have to worry about doing election every few years. I only have to worry about elections whenever somebody dies. And usually what happens is it will take from the pool of my military leaders to determine who's going to be the next Grand Marshal. So basically, by keeping my leaders in their seats and getting them experience, the odds increase that I'll be able to elect one of them. I also choose the longevity perk, not like the full length one that adds 120 years, which I would love to get, but it costs 4 points, and
system survey complete.
You don't have 4 points in the beginning, so that means you have to choose a lot of negatives in order to be able to get it, and it's not worth having 120 years when you have so many negatives. Because of course the only negative I have right now is that my people are slow breeders, but that just buys me more time to take care of planetary stuff. Once the ball gets rolling with the slow breeder negative downside, everything else I have will completely whitewash over all of that. So I usually choose the slow breeder because it's the least detrimental to the overall cause or the overall effect of the game.
Construction complete.
I've got a lot of construction stuff building. The main purpose I found with this game is just you have to keep something going at all times. So you'll see the red circle next to the person who's not quite there yet. They're kind of transparent. That will stay there until they fully show up. Now, looking at this now from post-recording, I'm screaming at myself going, you moron, why didn't you move some of those people over, one of the two people, or why didn't you build there? But I won't figure that out in the game for a little while. As far as the ground troops go, I usually don't get the ground troop leaders because, one, I don't do a lot of ground fighting, at least I haven't yet, and two, I can only hold 10 leaders. Now, in my opinion, that number does seem a little low. You can get it to go up through the game, and as time progresses, you'll have the ability to get more, but only being able to have 10 leaders is really, really harsh because 6 of them are currently being used. I have my 3 scientists, which I think one of them is on my science vessel. Then, of course, I have my fleet leader. Then I have my homeworld leader. Right? So somewhere between 5 and 6 slots have already been taken up from the moment you start the game.
Situation log updated.
Now, the only reason I have a problem with that is because, fortunately, the construction ship does not require a leader to be in charge of it. But everything else does, and it's just... it's really tough when you only have enough room for 6, because I really do need ground force, and I need to start work on my second fleet. However, before I go too deep into talking about like other things about this game and really sort of getting into the tutorial aspect of it, which clearly you guys want to know about, it won't be in the next video, but in the video following the next video, I will be changing my fleet names and my ship names. Chiefly because my science vessel, while I was doing my readings, while I was trying to do the recorded voices, I was having trouble with science vessel names. So yeah, I just decided, you know what, to heck with all of this. I'm just gonna go ahead and change the names, and I have the perfect idea for what to name my stuff. So I'm at the point now where I am going to finally get a fleet admiral for my first strike force, and
situation log updated,
and of course the situation log. Also, before I forget, whenever you encounter new aliens, the situation log does require you to actually go into the situation log and select the alien type. So, selecting an admiral, I go through all the little traits here. Now, I'm always going to be biased towards the women, because this is me, I mean, clearly, but also I will always pick ones that are going to be useful. Okay, so, I mean,
system survey
as you
complete.
saw,
Anomaly found.
the one girl had the trickster trait, which is not really going to be useful for what I want to do, which is my strike forces or my fleets will not be moving very much. So, like, they won't actually be running. By the time I'm done, they're going to be strong enough that they won't have to worry about running. So, but getting back to what I was saying about the leadership, having only those 10 leaders means that you're really sort of limited, and you As far as I know, you can't get more than 10. Like, you can get more than 10 later on. Like, you can increase the number that you can have. But you can't hire more than the maximum limit. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to...
Situation log updated.
Like I said, you guys are going to see some jump cuts here and there. And that's because like I said, I'm watching YouTube and just kind of playing the game as stuff's going on in the background. So you'll see like momentary pauses, and a lot of times I'll try and cut the stuff out to make things a little bit smoother as far as everything else goes. But getting back to the sort of tutorial aspect of the game, managing your resources is sort of crucial. The main thing is always need to keep your energy. You need to maintain your energy. Your minerals and your influence aren't as important as your energy, because energy is the only resource you have that'll actually go into the negative. And when I say we'll go into the negative, I mean we'll go into the negative in such a fashion that it's sort of out of your control. You can get your influence to go into the negative, but doing that requires you to have a lot of forward operating bases and basically have a lot of stuff going out of your influence. So basically I have 2, so if I built 3 forward operating bases now, then I would be in the negative on influence. That's a really easy fix. Get rid of one of the forward, get rid of 1 or 2 forward operating bases, and I can regain the influence back. Whereas the energy will continuously fluctuate. So there you guys got a quick look. I think I'll go back a little bit later and show you guys the full leadership screen. Sorry for that long dramatic pause. My brain just went into like freeze mode for a second. But I will show you guys like the full leadership screen and show you guys like that sitting right now I have 10. Like I have a maximum limit of 10 and I'm already sitting at, like I said, 5 or 6. I don't fully remember. And of course, I'm not on that screen long enough. So, having that limitation, I did debate whether or not I wanted to get a mod that would increase the number of leaders that I could get, but I didn't for 2 reasons. 1, I felt like it would imbalance the game a little bit too much, and 2, I couldn't find one. So, you know, it's mostly that I couldn't find one, but I do feel that it would imbalance the game a little bit too much to be able to just have as many leaders as you want. And, I mean, I kind of understand, too, that that's part of the reason why they put that limitation in. So, one of the things I really need to do, especially, like, looking at this now, is I need to work on sort of... 1, paying more attention to my stuff, because I mean, how many times have I clicked on the home world screen and not seen that I have the population just sitting there? But as you guys are going to see, one of the first things that I do, one of the main things that I focus on is getting energy flowing in, getting energy credits flowing in. And that's because I'm going to need those energy credits later on. And also you'll notice that with a lot of my research, I'm researching things that up my energy credit limit.
Complete.
So that way, it takes me slightly longer to hit the ceiling, but I'm also constantly bringing in energy credits. I do make a huge mistake early on in the game by, well, you know, I'll discuss that when I get there. So, needless to say, there is a mistake coming that is really big that I should not have done, that I should have waited a little bit longer on, but I didn't, and sort of maybe kind of messed myself up a little bit here, but I think I can salvage it. But I really have to push the military thing really hardcore in order to pull this out. So, queuing up stuff in the game is as simple as just holding shift and selecting what you want to do next. Sometimes I have found that it doesn't quite work the way I want it to, but typically it does. I've also been having some kind of weird issues with clicking on something and it not wanting to queue stuff up, or it not wanting to give me what I clicked on. I don't know if that's just something with... So I got this game off G2A and it was a pre-order copy, so I don't know. It could have something to do with the fact that it's a pre-order copy, and it may just be like a regular bug in the game. But like I said, normally, if you guys didn't catch my other video again, I normally don't play sort of these resource management, sort of Civ type games, because a lot of times they're turn-based, and I'm not a really big fan of the whole turn-based thing of you do something, then you have to wait, and, you know, I like to be able to respond to a situation complete as it's happening, or if I can see that something's going to happen. I don't like being limited on what I can and can't do. Now, there is some huge limitations in this game, such as I don't control the combat. It's not really random number generation, but if I have a fleet of 150 and my enemy has a fleet of 150, odds are I'm going to end up losing most of my ships. I might actually even lose because, of course, we're evenly matched. Whereas if I have 151, there's a chance I'm going to win, but I'll win with like one ship left. But also there is a chance that I'm going to lose. So the higher the numbers, the better the odds that I'll win. So if I'm at 200 and they're at 150, I'm going to win, but I'm probably going to lose the ship in the process as well. So you kind of have that balance. But I'm okay with that because that is manageable, you know? I can go, hey, I need you guys at 150 to go in and just sort of lightly chip away at these guys while the big fleet is on its way in, or, you know, just sending some stuff in for defensive measures and things like that. I'll do my best to show off the customization screen for the ships as well, because I do feel that that is like one of those kind of important things. And I'm trying to think. As far as I know, so I have the colony ship going. I will try and colonize planets sort of quickly, but I've also found that if you go too quickly, you kind of end up stretching yourself a little bit too thin, and it causes a bit of problem. One of the major things, of course, as always, is I have to get resources coming in, which is primarily the energy. So when I go through the energy, and you guys are going to see here in a second that apparently my ships can fly through stars. Or maybe you've already seen it. I don't know. I haven't finished the editing on the video portion of this yet. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that it can fly straight through a star. So when it comes to the resources, especially with the energy credits, every sort of mining base that you build for mining resource credits, which I don't know how you mine resource credits, but whatever, it costs 1 to maintain that facility. So fortunately, I have yet to come across a planet that has only like 1 energy.
Anomaly found.
Or an asteroid or something like that that has 1 energy. They usually all have 2 and up, but the most I've seen so far is 3. I usually will always go for the 3s first, because if you go with the 2, you have 2 energy from the planet minus the 1 energy that it's going to take to maintain the mine, the orbital mining thing. So basically you only end up getting 1 energy credit out of it. And as you guys are going to see, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen in this video. When it comes to the energy credits, you can get to a point where you're in the negative, but it shows 0. And that's because it not only do your energy credits go down in full number increments, they also go down in decimal point increments as well. So you can have negative 0.4. And of course, everything in this game runs on a monthly scale. So every month you're losing negative 0.4 or you're gaining a positive, point whatever. But that monthly scale is really, really hard on you.
System survey complete.
Especially early on in the game. It's not too bad early on, but round about the midpoint when all the really, really hardcore grindy stuff has to happen, that's when things start to get a little bit dicey, because then you start having enemy fleets on your borders, and you might have the ships to be able to defend them off, but while you're sitting stationary, they're expanding, and it's just awful. Also with wormholes, I can only build wormholes within my own borders, but they do expand beyond my own borders. So like I said, I don't remember if it's in this video or if it's in the next video, but I do know for sure that I definitely show that off. So I'm getting fairly close to the end of this video. I've done a little bit of rambling. I've done a lot of rambling and talking about stuff that makes absolutely no sense and is completely useless to the overall grand scheme of this game. But sadly, that's just kind of the way things are going to go. I might actually switch back to actually doing some regular talking in the next video, chiefly for that reason. So I believe my science... Okay. So most likely in the next video is when I send out my construction ship to build the... Well, it might be in this video. It might be like just at the end that I send it to build the operating base. And that mistake that I was talking about, if you pay attention to this game and you've seen people play it, or you've played it yourself, you saw the policy that I selected, you probably know the mistake that I'm about to make and that I did too quickly. So,
research complete.
That's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm going to be doing these with and post commentary, which of course means that I have to sit here and watch myself play this game for 30 minutes, roughly. About 30 minutes, because it's obviously never ends up being exactly 30 minutes. It always ends up being slightly less or slightly more than 30 minutes. And I've already noticed there's a few spots that I might want to do some cutting. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to call it at about this point. And just kind of not really leave it there, but finish doing the edits and stuff like that. So this is part of the reason, like I said, I always pause the game during all of my research stuff. And it's because sometimes you end up with double stacks of research. Most likely you guys have already seen that, especially depending on the kind of edits and stuff that I do. But of course, I'm listening to the game right now, and so my voice and my audio thing are sort of in sync right now, but then at some point down the line, they're going to get off. So, because I've been doing edits while doing everything else. But I'll try and keep everything lined up nice and neat for you guys. So that's it. I am done for the day. You guys might notice a bit of a skip between this video and the next video, and that really depends on how much I end up cutting out. So, to that, I'm going to say, sayonara.